Welcome back to A Distorted Perception. In honor of Korn's 30th anniversary of their self-titled debut, we are going to rank every Korn studio album from worst to first. Let me preface this by saying that there is no terrible Korn album. I am a huge Korn fan ever since I was a 13-year-old young boy and I saw Blind on Headbangers Ball. Even though this does say worst to first, I love every Korn album in its own way, but I love some more than others, and some just didn't resonate quite as much as the top of my list. Then there are some that are just timeless classics. We're gonna do a quick run through of every single album with little snippets of each, and I've broken it down into sections. So the early years, Korn burst on the scene in 1994 with their self-titled debut, a raw explosion of energy and innovation. Tracks like Blind and Chutes and Ladders not only defined the genre, but also gave a voice to a disaffected generation. Following up, Life is Peachy intensified their signature sound with tracks like Adidas and No Place to Hide. But it was Follow the Leader that catapulted them into mainstream success, thanks to anthems like Freak on the Leash and Got the Life. Now the middle years. Everything in the new millennium, Korn continued to evolve. Issues and Untouchables saw the band experimenting with their sound, incorporating more melody without losing their edge. Take a Look in the Mirror and See You on the Other Side further showcased their willingness to experiment, blending elements of industrial and electronic music with their established nu metal roots. And we have, unfortunately, the headless years. Brian Head Welch left Korn in February 2005 due to personal reasons, including his struggle with substance abuse and his desire to focus on a spiritual journey. He officially announced his departure from the band to pursue a solo career. Welch returned to Korn in 2013, reuniting with the band for their album The Paradigm Shift. His return marked a significant moment for Korn and was welcomed by both the band members and fans. Since then, Welch has been an integral part of Korn's lineup, contributing to the subsequent albums and touring with the band. In recent years, Korn has shown no signs of slowing down. Albums like The Paradigm Shift and The Serenity of Suffering have been hailed as returns to form. The Nothing is a dark masterpiece reflecting on loss and pain with a depth and intensity that only Korn can deliver. Their latest, Requiem, is another banger focusing on Korn's legacy. So let's get on with the countdown. No surprise, these first couple are widely considered the worst albums, so we'll get through them pretty quickly. Coming in at number 14 is Korn 3, Remember Who You Are. This was produced by Ross Robertson. Korn 3, Remember Who You Are, saw Korn trying to recapture the energy of the early days. The album reflects themes of identity and rediscovery. Notable songs include Oildale, Leave Me Alone, and Let the Guilt Go. Now, I know that they enlisted Ross Robertson, who was their producer on self-titled and Life is Peachy, and we're hoping to recapture that early energy, and it just fell flat. This whole album is kind of boring. I know Jonathan said this was very difficult to record because Ross put him in a bunch of bad headspace, and it just wasn't a good experience trying to record this album, and it reflects in the music itself. They did kind of get back to their roots and try something heavy, but it just wasn't very good at all. It was kind of forgettable, and no surprise that it lands here at number 14. Coming in at number 13 is The Paradigm Shift, produced by Don Gilmore. While the return of guitarist Brian Head Welch injected some energy back into the band, the album overall lacked the freshness and creativity of their early releases. It explores themes of change and adaptation. Notable songs include Never Never and Love and Meth. So this is them, you know, Head hadn't been there for many, many years, and them trying to recapture that energy. Just lacked songwriting. Some of the songs were okay, but it's one that I never go out of my way to put on. Yeah, it's just kind of a forgettable album, but I was happy that Head was back and was looking forward to what they did next. Coming in at number 12, we have The Path of Totality. Produced by various producers, including Skrillex, this experimental album saw Korn incorporating dubstep and electronic elements into their sound. It explores themes of chaos and catharsis. Notable songs include Narcissistic Cannibal, Chaos Lives in Everything, and Get Up. So this album, I do enjoy the songs with Skrillex. Even when they play them live, I really actually do enjoy Narcissistic Cannibal live, and when it comes on, I don't skip it. But other than the Skrillex songs, the rest of the album is just kind of all over the place. Just not very refined. A lot of skips on here. I do give them credit because dubstep wasn't mainstream at the time. Korn jumped on that early and made some really, really cool songs. It was a cool mixture. Just as an album, doesn't rank very high for me. Taking the 11th spot is Untitled. Produced by Atticus Ross, The Matrix, and Korn. While it marked a departure from Korn's traditional sound, it failed to resonate with fans and critics alike. The album reflects themes of uncertainty and reinvention. Notable songs include Evolution and Hold On. So this is a mood album. It's very drony. Some of the songs start off really cool, and then they just kind of like, you're 2 minutes into it and you're like, is this still the same part? I think they had a lot of cool ideas on this album, and maybe they just didn't know how to execute them at the time. And yeah, besides Evolution, which I don't even really love that one, Hold On is a cool song. And there's other ones that if I'm in the mood, I will put this one on, and I do like it. But there's no notable standouts that make me like, oh yeah, let me put Untitled on. So that comes in at number 11. Taking the 10th spot is their newest album, Requiem. Requiem was produced by Korn. The album serves as a reflection on Korn's legacy with themes of nostalgia and renewal. It reflects on the band's journey and the passage of time. Notable songs include Start the Healing and Forgotten. So it's only down this far because I haven't had a chance to really listen multiple times like I have every other album. From what I've heard so far, I really actually do like it. It's just this far down on the list because I've listened to the other album so many more times and have a better idea of what I like and don't like on the albums. But this one could certainly move up on the list within the next few years. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, she falls at number 10. That's Requiem. Coming in at number 9 is going to be a shocker to some, but it is Untouchables. Untouchables was released in 2002, produced by Michael Beinhorn and Korn. This album showcased Korn at the height of their powers with dense production and atmospheric soundscapes. It reflects themes of isolation and emotional struggle. Notable songs include Here to Stay and Thoughtless. Here I Stay, Thoughtless, and Alone I Break rank in the top 10 of Korn songs of all time. It's the rest of the album that I don't like. It is, I know that they spent $3.1 million or whatever it was, and this is Jonathan's favorite album. And I just, the other day, tried listening to it multiple times to get into it. And I still really only like those 3 songs. It sounds amazing, though. You could tell that they spent $3.1 million on it because it still sounds amazing to this day. The production quality is great. And even the bad songs sound great. It's just, I did not resonate with the rest of the songs on the album, but those 3 are amazing. So that's why it lands here at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is The Nothing. The Nothing, released in 2019, produced by Nick Raskulenitz. This album delves into themes of grief and despair, inspired by personal tragedies within the band. It explores themes of loss and emotional struggle. Notable songs include Cold, which is heavy and awesome, You'll Never Find Me, which is catchy and groovy, Darkness is Revealing and Idiosyncrasy, which is a great start to the album. Can You Hear Me is another great tune, and then there's a good amount of nice heavy tunes after that. Overall, it's a really solid album. I know Jonathan lost his mother and his wife that same year, so this was a very, very tough time for him, and that is, you can hear that in the emotion and the lyrics on this album, and I thought it was very solid overall. It really strikes a lot of emotion, and I really, really enjoyed this album. Coming in at number 7, we have The Serenity of Suffering. Serenity of Suffering, released in 2016 and produced by Nick Raskulinecz, delves into themes of pain and resilience, and notable songs include Rotting in the Vein, Take Me Out. So I thought this album was very heavy and catchy all at the same time, which is a great blend. Insane, the title track, or the opening track, is a brutal, just Korn to its core type song, and really, really like that song. Rotting in the Vein is huge and doesn't really let up from there. There's a lot of heavy, good songs on this album, and it was the one after Paradigm Shift, which lacked flow and songwriting, but this one they really nailed it with Head being back, and you could tell the band had gelled and really put something good together. I actually enjoy this one from front to back. No skips. Let's get into our top 6. Coming in at number 6 is See You on the Other Side. This was released in 2005, produced by Korn and The Matrix. This album saw Korn experimenting with new sounds and textures, resulting in a mixed but interesting effort. It reflects themes of exploration and reinvention. Notable songs include Twisted Transistor, Coming Undone, Liar, Throw Me Away, and Tearjerker. So Tearjerker is actually one of my all-time favorite Korn songs. It's probably not a lot of people's makes their top list, but I really, really love Tearjerker. And Liar, it's super groovy. Really, really like that one. Throw Me Away is very creepy, and it's got a nice, slow, creepy vibe to it. Really like that one. And of course, Twisted Transistor is fun, and Coming Undone is catchy as shit. This is another one where I don't have any skips. There's not anything on the album that I dislike, and it's not an album that a lot of people put into their top half, but I actually really, really love this album. So probably another surprise, coming in at number 5 is Follow the Leader. Follow the Leader was released in 1998 and produced by Steve Thompson, Toby Wright, and Korn. This album catapulted Korn to mainstream success with its blend of heavy riffs and hip-hop influences. It reflects themes of power and influence. Notable songs include Freak on the Leash and Got the Life. So I feel this album is very top-heavy. The first 4 songs are really, really great. And then you got Children of the Corn and All in the Family, which I do not like, especially All in the Family with Fred Durst. Terrible, terrible, terrible song. From both of them, but especially Fred. I know they were trying to be fun, but I absolutely hate that song. But as the album goes along, you got BBK, Pretty, Justin, and Reclaim My Place, and they're all awesome. I think it probably could have been a perfect album if they got rid of All in the Family and Children of the Corn. But other than that, it's a very, very solid album overall. I just skipped those 2, but every other song on the album is absolutely amazing. And this was the beginning of what I like to call the popcorn era, where they really introduced a lot of pop influences and had really, really catchy choruses. They were like trending on TRL. They were going up against NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears during this era. So that's just the kind of bangers that were on this album, where they could actually compete on TRL, which was all teeny boppers calling in to get their songs played. So Follow the Leader, yeah, coming in at number 5 here. So it's top 5 album. Coming in at number 4 is Take a Look in the Mirror. Probably another big surprise, but I absolutely love this album from start to finish. Take a Look in the Mirror was released in 2003 and it was produced by Jonathan Davis and Korn. This album saw Korn returning to their heaviest roots and raw and aggressive sound. It reflects themes of introspection and self-reflection. Notable songs include Right Now, Counting on Me, Did My Time, Everything I've Known, Alive, Absolutely no skips on this album. Now, I know Jonathan ranks this as his least favorite album, mostly because of the production. It was the first album that Korn produced themselves. And after spending $3.5 million or $3 million on Untouchable and had that amazing production value, he does not like this album, but I absolutely love this album from start to finish. I don't skip any songs on it. I could sing along to every single song on this album. Definitely top 4 for me. It's probably not popular opinion, but I absolutely love Take a Look in the Mirror. Great Korn album. On to our top 3. Moving on to the podium positions, coming in at number 3 is Issues. Issues was released in 1999, produced by Brendan O'Brien and Korn. This album delves into themes of mental health and personal struggles with some of Korn's most emotionally powerful songs. It reflects themes of inner turmoil and emotional catharsis. Notable songs include Falling Away From Me, Trash, Make Me Bad, Somebody, Someone. So this is a lot of people's favorite album, and I get that because it took a lot of the raw aggression from the first 2 albums and some of the popcorny stuff from Follow the Leader, and it mashed them together in this perfect synergy of aggression, pop choruses, and I do love this album. I mean, it's top 3 for me. It is like a perfect blend between the early drony, grindy, dirty Korn with the polished, poppy, mainstream success choruses, and it blends this perfect balance between the two. It probably was their most successful album. Not sure if it was Issues or Follow the Leader that was their most successful, but this is a perfect blend to me between that early stuff and the beginning of their poppy stuff. It was a great album. No skips on this one either. Down to our final 2. And honestly, the top 5 can switch for me at any point. But when I was going over this list and went back and listened to every single album, I only came to one conclusion.
It's like he's singing shit and some sick shit.
So coming in at number 2 is Life is Peachy. Life is Peachy was produced in 1996 by the aforementioned Ross Robinson. This album builds upon the success of their debut with its raw aggression and introspective lyrics. It reflects themes of frustration and anger. Notable songs for me include Chi, Good God, which is my all-time favorite Korn song, No Place to Hide, Wicked with Chino, I love that. And of course, Adidas, still a banger today. They still play it live and everybody goes nuts. So this was their follow-up to their self-titled album, and it still had that nasty, dirty, grindy meth sound to it with a little more polish. Ross still got the best out of the boys on this one. There's a lot of just raw emotion. There's not a lot of pop choruses on this one. Is just aggressive all the way through, and it just feels and sounds dirty. And when I was 14, probably when this album came out, that's what I wanted. I wanted nasty, dirty, and this was still meth Korn, and meth Korn was just wild. I mean, some of the lyrics are hilarious on this one. You could tell that they were rushed in making this album and kind of just having fun with the lyrics on this. It's not as raw emotionally as number 1. So taking the top spot on my list is Korn's groundbreaking self-titled debut album. It was released in 1994, produced by Ross Robinson again. This album revolutionized the metal scene with its innovative blend of heavy riffs, hip-hop rhythms, and raw emotions, cementing Korn's legacy as one of the most influential bands of their generation. It reflects themes of childhood trauma and inner demons. Notable songs for me include Blind, Daddy, Clown, and Ball Tongue. So, as a young boy who saw Blind on Headbangers Ball just one night, never heard of them. We didn't have the internet back then. I'm sure that's wild to some of you, but we did not have the internet. If you wanted to see new music or catch new music, you had to watch Headbangers Ball, or you had to read Hit Parader magazine or any other of the metal magazines back then, and you would just stay up on the weekends and watch the countdowns and hope to find something cool. I remember seeing Blind for the first time, and I was just like, what is this? Went out, probably the next week or whatever, and bought the album and just burnt that tape out. I still had a cassette player back then. So I bought the cassette and just played this album out. It was just so different than anything I had ever heard up until that point. And the themes of it, of Jonathan being abused as a child, and family issues and being bullied, is still relevant today as it was back then. Korn would tell you exactly how they felt and why they felt the way they felt, and that was different for the time. Not so much now. I mean, that's pretty commonplace now, but in 93, 94, that wasn't really what metal was doing. So this resonated with a lot of people. And that's probably why Korn is still so relevant today, still headlining. They never lost that. They didn't start making songs about money and how much success they had and stuff like that. John still writes from an emotional place and lays it all out there, and you can tell in these songs, especially Daddy, that whole ending. I remember watching, I don't know if it was a documentary or a video about like him recording that and how, broken and he was singing that, but that's real emotion on those songs. And that's why it's my number one, because I don't know if anyone will actually recapture that emotion that Ross was able to capture on that first album. So Korn, self-titled, is my number one Korn album of all time. Like I said in the beginning, there's no bad Korn album. Some just don't resonate with me, and I've looked at other people's lists and it's all over the place. People love the newer stuff better. People love Untouchables as their number one. There's a lot of different rankings, and like I said, my rankings change on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. If I did this same ranking next year, it might be completely different, but the past week, diving in and listening to every album from front to back, this is what I came up with, and I stand by it for now. So I also did a ranking of Deftones, and I will put that somewhere up here if you want to check that out, of all Deftones albums. And if you have any other bands that you want me to do rankings on, let me know in the comments, or if you want to trash my ranking here, or just give me your rankings below. Feel free to do that in the comments below. And thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.